horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fenced in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello, and a warm welcome to the Bosch's Inquiry Sunday Sermon. Yes, plenty to discuss this week and some fabulous questions from our loyal listenership. And we hope we can do it justice and talk a bit of serious racing chat and have a bit of fun, as we usually do. Myself, John and Chris. Good evening, gentlemen.
Guten Abend.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, right, here we go. It sets the scene. Right, racing this week, John. It's one of our favourite tracks.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Goodwood, right? It's only because it's aesthetically pleasing, the landscape. It's not necessarily I enjoy betting at the track because I haven't really had many bets at the track this week, or serious bets anyway, where I've hit one hard. Not like Salcombe last year where we got that beat. Yeah, I know. On to the racing this week. We'll try and cover it pretty swiftly. There's not really a lot to discuss really at Goodwood, but we've had a few questions on some of the races, so why not discuss them for our fanboys and girls. Tuesday started off the Lennox, John. Annie Lennox. Yeah. Audience repeated a sort of a... Do you know what? It doesn't sit well with me, this race. I think it's bollocks. Art Power sets off in front. Audience gets an absolutely brilliant slipstream and then just obviously powers past an horse that's better at shorter with everything else at the back of the telly and trying to make ground late. Is that how you saw it?
Well, I think I put up on Twitter after the race, everybody in the win knows about the winner.
Nothing could win from sort of...
Nobody showed any savvy or initiative at all, did they? You know, especially given what Audience did at Newbury.
People out there listening to this will say, what you guys on about? It's won a Lockinge, won a Lennox, you're knocking the horse, it's finished. I'm not saying it's not a good horse, it is. But if you look last season, Kinross beat it twice. You could say Kinross has aged a bit more, but not by 5 lengths. It's not got that bad that quick. I just doubt Audience's performance. Again, it's a horse I'm really hoping. They might go Park Stakes next, something like that at Doncaster. And I'm hoping there's just something in there to...
I think we go City of York, wasn't he?
I think that were meant... Actually, yeah, I think I heard that mentioned.
City of York's worth a fortune this year, isn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to make it into a Group 1, aren't they? They're busting York to make this into a Group 1. So, yeah, Audience, we'll go for the City of York. My just first thought were Park Stakes or something like that. But
I think the City of York will be a sterner test for him.
Yeah, I'm wanting to take him on.
Yeah.
If possible, on his next start. So Wednesday, obviously the race, the talking point, Stuart's Inquiry, that was reversed. The very, very heated debates on Twitter that I saw with Rakir and Jabara. Was that right to be turned around, John?
I think it was a toss of a coin job, to be honest. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd left it alone. I wasn't surprised they flipped it.
It's one of them where you get both sides of argument. You say that Rakir was the best horse in the race because had she not had to switch, she would have probably won. I think that's pretty obvious. But then there's others that say, well, was the gap really there? This time the other arguing whether Jabara's ground to tear or whatever. So yeah, I get both arguments. I agree with you totally. There's nothing to add there. Mick Appleby, top trainer at week, John. Big Mojo started off in the Malcolm.
Yeah.
In fact, do you know what? As much as Mick Appleby sometimes gets on me wires, because media cliched and he improves horses from other yards. He does which I suppose he does. It's, you know what I mean?
He does on occasion. I mean, to me, he's like the replacement for Clive Britton. They just run anyhow most of the time, and sometimes they pop up, and other times they don't. Nobody gives a fuck.
No. Yeah, again, sorry to be blowing smoke up you, but you're spot on. But don't you think it's one in the eye for the establishment trainers? Old Northern Mick was on telly and says, well, I thought he had a great chance.
I don't think O'Brien targets this meeting to the extent he targets Ascot and York.
No, I agree.
He's got the Sussex and the Goodwood Cup, and then I think the rest of them 9 times out of 10 are box fillers.
I agree. But it's fantastic. What odds would you have got on that?
Ooh, well,
Pick your own strawberries, isn't it?
it is really.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Moving on to the Sussex, notable speech. Blotted his copybook last time, but we've said this before, John, about the Appleby runners. They do seem to have unexplained blowouts, don't they, like their top-end animals, which is unusual for top-end animals.
Yeah, I'm never quite confident backing any of that. And it's something that sort of crept into me this year, really.
Yeah.
I've noticed it more this year that somehow, for no apparent reason, they're coming on absolute fucking stillness.
Obviously, this is a comment between certainly us on the sermon and on past racing podcasts. The amount of gelding that Mr. Charlie Appleby has to do to his horses is very strange, I think, because unless it's the dam lines or what they're breeding from or whatever, but the amount of geldings that they have.
You'd think they're breeding a lot of horse horses, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but Noble Speech certainly isn't one of those. It doesn't look an impressive performance, but only comes out at 117 for me, John. The Racing Post have given it 124. I think that's an incredible rating.
Yeah, they usually about £7 wrong, aren't they?
Yeah, and the reason why I come at that rating is I believe the third horse, Factor Cheval, was below form. I didn't think Factor Cheval handled the quick ground.
No, I wasn't overly impressed. Not the way the horse rode on that ground. I thought Henry Longfellow didn't handle the track. It never looked happy. I'd have him well below form. I think he was a good 11 to 14 pound below form, to be honest.
Yep.
So I don't think it was an acid test for Notable Speech, but I did think he had a bit up his sleeve.
I just rated him what I've rated him in the Guineas, which was about 117. I just think he's reproduced that. He's a very good horse. But I think good thing for myself and anyone that listens to this pod that agrees with me is that I think we'll see shorter prices than what we should do about Rosalien and Notable Speech going forwards. Whatever they're taking on, they'll be short. And I think that's where we need to capitalise and try and get them beat, because I don't think they're as good as what the ratings companies are making them out as.
No.
That's where I stand on that one. And I know a few of you have asked for our opinion on that race. So not mentioning any names, sorry about that, because I know there's been quite a few that's asked the question. Let's move on to Thursday after that. Goodwood should never be 5 days, John, should it?
Shouldn't even be 3 days. I mean, no, enough.
It's just terrible. You trumpeted with Black Forza in the Richmond Stakes.
I don't think it's one I'll be going forward with to a great degree. I think that's pretty much hit the sailing there. But a nice sailing to hit.
It is.
It's a canny price, so I was happy with that.
Good analysis from you on the show. Jan Bruegel won the Godden Stakes and was rated by myself as the banker of the week, but some might say we're all sweating down the straight. Now, it's my take, and you might not agree with this, but I just felt that he still looks a very inexperienced horse in terms of mentality.
Oh, he's ready raw.
He wasn't lazy. I think he was just messing.
I thought he could have gone round again, to be honest.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think when he come under pressure, he was never going backwards and in trouble and then ran on some horses because they're outpaced. He was running up sides, the front runner, and then as soon as one came to it on the outside, he beat that off. And then another one came late and he beat that off. I know it sounds terrible, and Chris Pull will pull me up on this, but I never thought he was going to get beat.
No. He's totally genuine, but if he was a greyhound, it'd be one of those. I think he's had a look. Just wait for him to come to him, and then just goes on again.
Bit of fun and a bit of sport. I thought
it was different gear to the rest of them. I've never seen a horse in a top class. Well, I have seen, but not recently. He just toyed with them. I thought he was just playing with them, because I think he was just so inexperienced. I think this, if they run it in, what seems to be in St Leger, and I think this is the one, isn't it? Surely.
So, John, what do we think to that for the Ledger? You can get 5-1. Is he going to be better than the likes of Los Angeles and Illinois?
If he was man, I wouldn't go for Ledger.
Where would you go?
I'd be pretty much saying that's it for you.
Interesting. The stout approach.
Yeah, well.
That is what the Baron would do. If he thought that this horse probably needs time to mature, like mentally, brain. But like you say,
I've been trying to knock him on the head and bring him back, guess where?
oh God, you should take over when he's had enough, John.
I
And
know.
you just carry on its same mould as it always
Yeah.
been. Rather, he's going to be better at 4, isn't he?
I believe so. I think he could end up as like a proper Arcos next year. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to rush him into a Ledger because I don't think a Ledger would suit him off the back of that where he's just vain. And I don't think cramming another run in before the Ledger would be the best idea ever. So, in the interest of the horse long term, I'd be inclined to knock him on the head.
There you go, Aidan. Tune into the podcast, or if somebody knows Aidan, tell him to listen to John's thoughts. I don't know what the lads will think to that, though. They'll want
They'll tell me to fuck off.
They will. Yeah, Magni will I'll give you the 2 fingers, I think, and say, we're going Ledger, you silly old cunt. Or something like that.
They will, yeah.
3:35, the Nassau Stakes the same day. Brilliant piece of race riding from Ryan Moore, who, again, he's not a 10 out of 10. He's not a 9 out of 10. I'd put him in jockeyship. I'd put him at 8.5 out of 10. But the rest are probably 7s, John, and below.
I think you know what Russell is 7 without the rivals.
Well, for some reason, Moore has this uncanny habit of getting the horse in the right place, which is the old thing Leicester used to do, and why he was so good, because they always had him in the right place. But more tactically, I think, he's ahead of them. An opera singer, he literally won the race for that filly.
He did. I thought Christian de Muro probably lost the race for Sparkling Plenty as well.
Yes, I fancy, yes, on the pod. Yeah.
I think if they both went to, say, the Vermeil at the Art Trials weekend, there's only one horse I'd be interested in out the 2, and it wouldn't be Opera Singer.
That's got some foot of Sparkling Plenty. It's just...
To come from where she comes from, I thought it was an horse from Exeter.
Yeah, it was, because the closing sectional was 107%.
I got the impression that she had actually improved for the quick ground.
Yeah. You'd say that. She's never raced probably on like, then that's proper quick.
Yeah, and I think that showed her in the best possible light in that race. It was just the position that she came into the straight. She was unable to convert it, but I think otherwise, I think she'd have been an impressive winner, not just a winner. I think we need a word for Rafe Ralph as well, who was absolutely fucked over, hasn't he? What in the name of Christ was that all about, running in that?
Ratings fanatics go bonkers at these big races and always rate a winner of a race higher than its official rating. Could never rate below.
Pixie's valuable now handicap with that and won it later, couldn't he? Because they held her up at Pontefract. I thought she had to go back up in trip, the fucking idiot.
We'll come on to this now, actually. It's a good time to come on to it. About trainers, jockeys, maybe. Jockeys to get too much stick. Trainers given more credit for who they actually are. Are they as clever as what the media makes them out to be? Let's touch on the first one in John Gosden. You've had plenty to say about. What's your take on the media with John Gosden? Do you think they fawn over him?
Oh, completely. I mean, nobody dares contradict anything he ever says. And the amount of times he comes out with just absolute standard bullshit when he's being interviewed is unbelievable.
Do you think, though, that because a lot of these trainer types, I don't know about the establishment ones, the ones they train for the Arabs, and they won't go hungry, ever.
Yeah.
These types, they're aloof from the media. So when anyone dares to sort of have a pop at them or maybe question their judgment in running here or something like that, they do a Mark Johnston and just...
Well, there's very few people in the media prepared to ask an awkward question of any of them, isn't there? Because they think that if they do ask an awkward question of them, they won't get an interview again. I mean, I would counter that by saying I don't think I've ever read an article related to racing where a trainer's quote has enhanced it one bit.
Yeah, the thing is, we've commented it on recent times how there's a trend at the moment where trainers will ruin, particularly fillies, handicap marks completely by just, they'll be rated in 80s and they'll take a pot, or get black type for the breeder. The breeder wants black type. But I don't understand the rush to get the black type. We've seen fillies at this point of the season that say have been rated, 80 odd, in mid-80s, and have got, fair enough, have got black type. But then that's it. They're knackered. The progress is knackered because the mark's too high. They're not really good enough to win listed races, but they've got the important black type. But surely what's better is building the filly up, and then going for the black type when they're in savage order. They're routing handicap racing. That's how I train fillies. But trainers seem to be grasping at black type. Doha fifth in the Nassau. It isn't black type.
I mean, even if you leave Opera Singer alone on 115, you're putting her up to 106.
Yeah.
For what? A non-staying effort at Goodwood.
Yeah. Regarding John Gosden, obviously, judgment in appointing Kieran Schumacher as his number one jockey. We've had a few questions on Schumacher, and John, on his Twitter questions post about, is this a sabbatical for Schumacher? Is this it? Is this the end? The stats said, come on, I just thought I'd have a look, see what he's doing this year. It's interesting that Schumacher's 5 winners above expectation on all rides, but when he rides for Towser, he's 3 winners below expectation and a lower than expected win rate. Could that be just an early signal of pressure? So, like, you're a sportsman, you're supposed to deliver, plan your race, you deliver. Because it's funny that he's like doing well when he's riding for others, but he's not doing well when he's riding for Gosden.
Well, the funny thing is, the year before last, when we had it was the sabbatical soap opera, wasn't it, with Frankie at Ascot?
Yeah.
Basically, the upshot was that Frankie wasn't following the detailed and incredibly clear plan that Gosden had formed for his horses during the races at Ascot.
Yeah.
After the Emily Upjohn, let's call it a debacle this week, there was interviews with Schumacher and Gosden, but there was no mention from Gosden of an incredibly clear and detailed plan for Emily Upjohn. It was like he washed his hands of the situation, and that's just what's happened there. It's nothing to do with those. Either the fillies either a goner or the jockeys are goner. We couldn't possibly have got a plan wrong. That's the prevailing thing with the Gosden outfit.
The one interview I saw of Gosden and planned tactics might be on Racing TV because I didn't have ITV on very much. The plan was a bit like what you've said. I think he wanted Schumacher to go on because he said there's not much pace on, so if we pop out, we're probably going to go handy with her. But that was the opposite of what he did because he didn't pop out that badly, but he then took her back.
I would suggest tentatively that if that had been the plan and that had been discussed, I don't think Schumacher's fate would have touched and he came back in. So I would throw a little bit of shade on that myself.
Yeah. I was laughing at your Twitter this week. It was quite funny. The picket ones was something about, look at these, with all these red hoods on going to Perth. What cunts.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was that filly race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, how are you supposed to back some of these? What are they doing with these horses? These are experienced 3-year-old fillies. And you've got lads on them that can hardly get them down to post. And things on at Goodwood, they're walking half the fucking way. And they're having to put hoods on them.
Well, that's Richard Perham for you.
He's doing a marvellous job, isn't he?
We need some lovely pair of hands. And brings me on to a listener question here. PJ Butler says about Washbourne, Clive Washbourne. Retained rider sacked already? ? I'm not sure. He says Hong Kong Harry on his best horse while Benoit is riding Gosden third strings at HQ.
I didn't know he was a retained rider, to be honest.
I didn't, PJ Butler. You're putting us to shame. I didn't know that. But if that's the case, if some listeners can find that out or just get in touch, let us know. I don't know.
Benoit's not made the strides you'd have thought, has he?
No, he hasn't.
Do you remember when he first come on as an apprentice? We were all saying 7 for nothing. Then he had his problems with the old Dettori stuff. And then he's like regressed since that. I don't know what that's all about. But then I've heard of other professionals that I know that have said they've never rated him anyway. But that's
that year he won the Lincoln.
Yep.
With his 7 for now. I would suggest that he'd probably have been odds on to replace Dettori when Dettori retired.
Yes.
That was my level of thinking. I was seriously at that level of thinking, right, well, surely he's the man just to step into the shoes and give Rab second string rides and let him have a go.
Kid marks come out of nowhere, really.
Yeah.
Apart from possibly a private school education.
We talk about mentality in some of these younger lads come through now, because just the highlighting the shoe mark stat there. I know it's a short time span and the data's not lengthy, but I think there's something clear there that the pressure of riding Group 1 horses for a big yard, big operation, let's call it what it
It's
is.
not like he came into it used to it, is it?
No.
No.
He's out of his depth.
Prior to this year,
Yeah.
nobody was looking at a big race and saying, I wonder what Caden Showmark's race.
We've said that about Endo of a Jumpster.
Nothing fails like failure. To say it has a corrosive effect. That Emily Upjohn ride won't have done anything for his confidence, would it? Not at all.
No. Not much to say Friday, apart from John tipped up lead artist and Jack tipped up the second forecast between them. Jack also tipped up the Golden Mile winner.
Good evening, Chris.
To I My Son, the podcast where you need to pay your £9 plus a little bit of VAT to the government to help them out.
Yeah, pay for some police to beat white people up. That's what we can do.
Oh, controversial opinion.
Not at all, brother.
It is to some. Don't forget, this podcast is.
We are a broad church, yeah.
We are. And we'll come on to the Olympics.
I bet Tommy Earns for the women's boxing. How do you reckon he'll get on?
Tommy Earns.
It's all going to kick off later on this show, I promise you. Once we get rid of boring racing.
Yeah. Hurry up.
People are just going to fast forward this bit anyway, aren't they? Saturday, nothing much happened there, did it? Lily Langtry, that would. Terms of endearment, John, Stephen Thomas has asked a question, so I'm going to put it to you because I was absolutely absent from watching the racing yesterday. He says, terms of endearment, Melbourne or Cheltenham? I don't know what that means.
Won't win at Melbourne. Will probably run fourth at Cheltenham.
And he said, Chapman failed to recognise Liz Truss.
No, he just doesn't like her. Good old. I tell you what, Jim Hay had a stinker of a week, didn't he? He's had Spencer possibly crippled to his better chances.
Yep.
And then he's in the paddock. He gets interviewed by Splat, and he's got Liz fucking Truss with him for the whole afternoon. My God, what a week!
Well,
if Fickry didn't drop him for him all week as well, he's had an absolute showman, hasn't he?
Didn't Chris's golf club bore steal the show with?
Oh yeah, he said that the market will crash in a minute.
Because after when they were interviewing Liz Truss, yeah, that is class, really. Whatever political side you're on,
it was fantastic to see you stood there, confidently expecting Matt to say, "Oh, we've got Liz Truss here, hello," and standing there with her mouth open, looking as gormless as ever. And Matt Chapman studiously ignored her. Well played, Matt.
Yeah. Right, we'll come on to some of your racing questions, and then we'll get on with the serious stuff like Olympics and ice creams.
Yeah, that's your best ice cream at the Olympics.
Two of you have been on, Paul Tomlinson and Andrew Woodman, Councillor Woodman. Dirty Tory. Get them out.
Get them back in. Get back in.
Yeah, get back in. Get back in. He says, are we seeing a change of policy at ITV Racing with Ed Chamberlain making it the betting ring this week? Maybe it's being treated seriously again instead of like Gleason's piss poor Big Mac impressions.
Yes.
I didn't watch much ITV, so I'm afraid I can't really comment on what and didn't. John, did you see much of that?
Well, the thing that really got my goat was ITV this week was the way they had Luke Harvey pouncing about like that absolute stooge.
Yeah.
What the fuck that adds to racing coverage, I will never ever understand in my life.
Embarrassing, wasn't it?
Ask as many questions as you can segment was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to the extent that Ed Chamberlain felt the need to point out it was the director's idea.
Yeah.
It shows a complete lack of faith in the product, because if that's all they think racing can attract people with, we're in serious, serious trouble, because that is aimed at imbeciles.
Yeah.
Not average viewers. It's aimed at absolute imbeciles.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
Fucking millions.
We're talking about people here, Lee, that hear a plane go overhead and point at the sky with the mouths open.
Oh, I do that. I do that. It's white magic.
I do that and say chemtrail.
That's
Yeah,
the level.
yeah,
it's
that's
on.
what I was thinking. Yeah, they're at it again. I say
They're at it again, spraying the skies.
Yeah, poisoning the water with fluoride for mind
Yeah,
control.
yeah.
All of that.
Honestly, if that's all racing can think of, they might as well just stop.
And they had a
Yeah.
feature with Harvey talking to people over that stone wall at the back of the start. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
there was a
What's that
bloke
about?
pointed out that he built something years
Yeah.
ago. He pointed down the track, and
Yeah.
the camera never even moved to
No,
show what he was pointing at.
Poor old cunt had only stopped for a piss up the wall and
Yeah.
got a camera, isn't it?
Well, I'm defending Harvey here because
Oh.
he did best I've ever seen on racing telly
Yeah.
ever. Nothing he don't beat with that Portley bloke at Royal Ascot.
It was only because it went wrong, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it went.
It doesn't matter. It was the best interview ever, and if you haven't seen that, it was Luke
Yeah.
was going round asking everyone, saying, "How's your day? Has it been
Oh,
nice?
lovely,
Oh yes,
yeah.
lovely, lovely." Comes to this like really miserable looking bloke sat in this deck, buttons bursting, around
Face on the lot. Yeah.
proper face on. He said, "How are you, sir? You enjoying the day?"
No.
No, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Can't get a drink. Can't go to the toilet. It's big queues for the toilet. It's hot. It's rubbish.
Quite right too. Well done, sir. Thank you, sir, for that. You sound right, Brave Sunshine. Yeah.
Now that is television. That's what we like to see. It's a bit like when elephants used to shit on floor at Blue Peter and things like that. Isn't it? You know, you couldn't beat that. Great
That
TV.
would be more highbrow than what ITV produced with that guess as many questions as you can thing.
Yeah. Oh, when Goldie had diarrhea in
Yeah,
Blue
we just
Peter
brought an
studio.
elephant in and made it shit on the floor. That would have done.
Or Simon Groom taking a penalty. Do you remember that? Them little school kids were like trainee goalkeepers, and they're about 6 years old. And
yeah.
Simon Groom took a fucking penalty, hoofed it at this poor kid, and took off it through the back of the net. And he's all right, and the kid's standing there crying with a broken arm. What a shit house. Grown man, he booted as hard as he could at him.
They tried to kill all school kids off, didn't
they? Yeah.
What they did, remember that advent calendar?
Tinsel.
They made out coat hangers and tinsel and put candles on them. And there were stories of like these advent calendars catching fire. Like
house fire,
after about 5 years, though, they did say you should go flame-proof tinsel.
Yeah.
When the death count got too high,
yeah, all good stuff. Live television, though, I bet it's not the easiest to do. I'm sounding too mainstream now. It's like a sellout, isn't it? You sell that.
Yeah, fucking Ed Chamberlain, bum chum. Yeah.
I mean, I think ITV must have had words about that feature, though, because they said it was Leona's turn to do it the following day, and as far as I'm aware, they never had her doing it.
No,
so
they
I think somebody must have said in the production meeting, look, for fuck's sake.
Can this?
Yeah, at least somebody on that team has said, look, this is shit.
Another question is to do with Ray Dawson and the owner and refusing to ride a float up. He was surprised the jockey has spoken out, as it must be quite common, especially in low-grade races, about jockeys being asked to stop horses by owners that have either not got a price or simply are waiting for another day or whatever. So Ray, obviously, with the owners in trouble for apparently supposedly stopping a horse, Ray, he won the race. Yeah. And then the owners threatened him as he's going back to the weighing room.
He'll be gutted because if you put Ray Dawson on, it's as good as stopping it anyway, isn't it?
The thing is, and I always say this, and this is from punting experience.
Yes.
If you want a job doing as a former horse owner, you have to have an in-house jockey. You cannot expect just say, well, stick Rab Avelin on it or stick somebody that don't ride for you, who's riding this, or stick him on it, and then go to parade ring and say, stop it dead.
That's what Gary Moore knows, you see. You know, they got it right on the South Coast. You don't go outside. Yeah, we know who we're talking about, but yeah.
Good old Frankel Tom.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly comment, but he does have a lot of bad luck always before the time they have it.
Yeah, they always seem to have bad runs in running. And
uncanny, isn't it? Unreal, that.
It's amazing.
You just put that kid that was apprenticed to Agus. That you retired, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, get him out of retirement and just get him on every and just don't tell him, oh, you're fine.
True. Yeah.
Jack Enright, poor Jack Enright. I hope he's doing well in his new career anyway, whatever he's decided to do.
Yeah, he's ITV racing producer.
And I blame Jack anyway. It weren't me, it was Jack. Jack were more like vehement and certainly more vitriolic than I was. So it's Jack's fault, not mine.
Yeah, totally.
It was one of the most savage pieces of broadcasting I've ever heard in my life.
It's Jack. He's like that. The
Yeah.
lad's just
Savage.
once you set him off, well, like a Catherine wheel.
Nailed to the fence.
Yeah. One more sort of like thing on racing or topic, if you like, before we move on
Digress.
well, before we
Proper
do the digress bit. This is the bit you might have fast forward to before you fast forward to Beth.
to the end.
Yeah, Samuel the cat's question.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway,
Yeah,
right.
so somebody will wise up eventually and just notice that you can actually fast forward right to the very end.
Yeah, betting, it's dead, isn't it, chaps? I think it's going to get worse, and that touches on the Ed Chamberlain in the ring thing from Woody and that. Of course, it's dead. Chris Fawcett stats. Chris Fawcett does a lot of great work, sort of carrying the torch from me in the early days. I don't know nothing now. He's now the main man on Twitter to look and see what's going off in the Gambling Commission world, freedom of information requests. Now, the latest thing Chris posted this week was very alarming from my perspective, especially given that this is what I do for a living, that in 2019, on Betfair Exchange, 72% of horse races had £500,000 or more matched on them. 2024 so far, just 9% of races have had 500,000 or more.
Wow.
That is an amazing decline, shall we say. Now, you can put various reasons on it. You could say COVID has made people skint. Could be other things like affordability checks. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They have come for the winners, which they certainly have. Or you could say also, is it the direction of travel of the operators to shove people into slots? Because it's uncanny in that period. In the 5 years, slot play has increased 300%.
There's your answer. Follow the money. You don't have to have much analysis or you presented with those figures. Yeah, it is. There is almost a conspiracy, isn't there, to move people away from things they have a chance of winning at towards playing on things that they have no chance of winning at.
Yeah. John, I mean, have you anything to add to that? It's pretty damning, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing to add. I mean, it's just as clear as day, isn't it? What's going on? Worrying terms.
But can we add then? Well, this is another stupid question. Why aren't the media doing much more?
Yeah.
Given that this is incredibly damning. It's so bad. That rate of decline, if it was a stock market company and say Betfair depended on that exchange income, right, and not for just a division of Flutter and all their operations.
Yeah.
If it was just the Betfair exchange listed on the stock exchange, Chris, their shares would be into pennies.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they'd be in free fall, wouldn't they? Because that's not just a bit of variance or share prices going up and down year on year. That's off a cliff, isn't it? That graph is off a cliff. That's just not. That is a systemic problem. That's a massive, massive problem. And of course, if that was subject to the sort of normal scrutiny that Betfair was a standalone, they'd be tanking by now. They'd probably be gone, wouldn't they? To be honest with you, someone would have shorted the arse out of that already. So. Yeah, it's a worry. But, in answer to your question, why aren't the racing media doing well? We've done this kind of to death. We've had racing media sort of guests on before, and we've asked them. But the bottom line is people fundamentally as human beings just don't want to rock the boat, do they? They live, even at the levels that Matt and Rishi Persad are offering out, they just want to get paid every month, aren't they? They don't want to be tip of the spear. They don't want to be the person that, causes the whole ship to sink. So they're just going to stay on that ship for as long as it stays afloat. And if it sinks, well, they'll jump and do something else, won't they?
Yeah. After all, the media and the BHA, I'll include these, they don't care about the participants because you can see that with BHA's policy. But if they did care about the participants, they will be speaking up vehemently on their behalf. Like Big Mac, back in the day, would certainly have gone absolutely bananas over topics like this. One thing about Big Mac, although he did have some bailouts off people from his gambling and bookmaking days, he was independent in the latter days, and he appeared on things, he'd just say what he thinks. It's a disgrace from the BHA because the participants are the lifeblood of the sport, and they think that they can just get with the times and attract youngsters to the sport when that's not how you do it. You've got to look after its participants. And if the participants can't bet, Chris, and can't have a bet on an account because they've either banned or, no, we're not taking your bets
or
anymore.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing, but look at the way that, the ghastly Harrington woman, she look how she bailed out. These people aren't custodians of the sport, and they have no interest in the underlying product or the people on whom that sport relies. They just and they'll fuck off. And we predicted that years ago. You know, we said she'd resign and move on to something else and say, you know, I've enjoyed my time, but it's now, you know, time to
Well,
hand
he
the
said
baton
that
to
when she
someone
was
else.
starting.
Yeah, they're ghastly people.
Well,
They're
he did, didn't
ghastly.
John's first thing, I think after about 3 weeks of listening to her, he just said, "Oh, another careerist waffle bag."
In a long line of them, and you know, these organisations are populated almost exclusively with these sorts of Arriviste types that come in for a year or two to build their CV before moving on to something more lucrative.
he?
Yeah.
What
But
you need is somebody coming into that post, and all the little pockets of different self-interested people in racing all need to be saying, "Oh shit,"
yeah,
Yes.
and then you know there's going to be some action.
yeah.
Till then, we're fucked.
We are. The game's done. Yeah, we're all ghost. You can all sit there and say, "Well, I don't think so." Well, you say don't think so. Unless things take a change in direction, there's absolutely no chance for this sport to evolve at all. None. Zero. We'll come on to ice creams in a bit, and I'm sure Mark Johnston would have to sell ice creams, probably go around himself in the vans or his plane, dropping them from Sky, drop-offs at tracks, big boxes of ice creams with parachutes.
like,
You
like
know,
like weapons to the Sandinista rebels or something
yeah.
like that. Oliver North fucking
That
dropping ice creams over Pontefract.
Yeah, that DB Cooper, that will save
DB
the.
Cooper, yes,
Yeah,
yes. We'll have a whole
yeah.
show on him one day, I promise.
We should do.
Yeah,
We should do.
Charlie might try to escape and jump out of the plane, but
Yeah.
instead of parachute, he'll pick fucking haversack up the daft twat.
Yeah.
Channing and his betting emporium people there. Colonel Braxton brought it up on tipping. Apparently, I don't know their business or whatever, but they charge like 150 quid for Goodwood or something for 3 days or whatever. And they were tipping 18 points each way on like 9, 10 to 1 chances or something. I'm just trying to think, how do you get that kind of money on?
Well, how do you get a pint? Is it £1 a pint? Is it a tenner a pint?
Well, I just presume you'd work that out with your own betting bank or
Yeah, but
something.
you know what I mean? That's like kind of crooks, isn't it, really?
I ain't looked into what they do, but
I have no idea. I have no idea what to do.
even if it's 18 quid each way,
Yeah.
you're still not going to pay for your subscription at long term if you're paying like 150 quid for 3 days. You'd have to be staking at serious point level to make money at that. So I did look at the overall ROI of what they do on horse racing, and I know they only do big meetings, which are tough. I'll be honest. You tip on big meetings, they're the hardest to win at. Of course they are, because it's the most competitive. But still, they're only doing 3% return on investment.
Mm.
And
That
that's
to me,
at top of their prices, isn't it? What they advise.
that's at their advised price.
It's the Henry Ricks model, isn't it? Hope you all got your £2,000 each way at 66 to 1. We're now in profit. 6 points profit on the season. It's
Well, that's the
kinda
other
like
thing
that.
I don't like is that most of their bets, by the looks of it, or from what I've seen,
Enhanced places, isn't it?
they're all each way bets. What day and age we're living in now, it's just not attainable for most people. But then they must have, because they must have clients. Because that's what I mean. I don't want to like slate them too much,
No.
because obviously, if they've got clients,
Well, they
that's
must be getting on.
well,
Yeah.
that's it. But then you could, of course, instead of paying all that money, start joining Bar Stewards Edge
Yeah.
and Bar Stewards
Half,
Early Bird.
half price for a month.
It's £49 for Early Bird, and with 55% up on investment, and it's £39 for Edge. 10:40 a.m. in the morning, which is a nice, comfortable time because a lot of people get bog around then with the accounts they've got left. Anyway, we're doing advice prices around 18%. I think that's pretty good. Better than a bank. Find the bargains, hunt out the bargains, and join the bar stewards. You know it makes sense. We change subject to the Olympics.
Mm.
Let's have a funny one to start up. Rap podcast tweet at John today. He said, as gentlemen of the equine world, do you have an actual Scooby what's going on in the dressage? Lovely transition from the Pinot Grigio by Pixie Frou Frou there. Collaterally strong and dexterously nubile, ending in a veil of tears with Grifton resplendent in Alpha Centauri.
What
Takes
fuck's he on about? Is he on drugs or something?
Probably. No, I get what he means, because me and producer were watching it the other day. Music were on, and they're playing Spice Girls to this montage. When different music comes on, horses trained obviously to do different things, move in different ways. But when they talk about, lovely structure there, yes, just like to see him get hold of the reins a bit more. I don't got a fucking clue what they're on about.
They're terms of art for those what know, isn't it?
I'd like to know how many people do know that, because that's more complicated than playing like chess at a high level. That's serious stuff.
Or
is dressage.
bridge, which is even more complicated.
Oh,
than chess.
bridge. And people cheat at bridge as well. We don't want to play that game. Actually, we do if we know how to cheat well. Anyway.
Yeah.
John, have you bothered to watch dressage?
I always think dressage is akin to getting an all-in wrestler to become a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Basically.
And you know, and that's the art in itself, isn't it? I mean, listen, it's all very clever, but not boring, don't you think?
And given the amount of gear on these horses, I have serious doubts whether it's very kind to them.
No.
There's a lot of very, very funny bits in use, and all sorts of headgear and
long Tom smacking her fucking hocks and all that.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, it's all part of it, isn't it? And I don't particularly like it, because I don't think any of the movements come naturally to the horses.
No, agreed. And it's dull.
I don't see him sort of training them, but you've got to think, to get horses, especially there's some ex-thoroughbreds that do it as well. They don't just breed dressage; they will train ex-race horses to do it.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that the horses are like being bred to run as fast as they can all their life, it's some kind of change to get them to change the trots and do daft things and prance about for an audience. So you think how they get them to that level to behave and do that. It makes you think.
Boring. It's boring as watching fucking judo or something like that, isn't it? That's a pile of old shit as well, isn't it? Judo. What else is there? Fucking parallel bars.
They could lose the judo and replace it with like Hollywood kung fu, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Bare knuckle, no rules. Fucking boot, fight to the death. I'd play to watch that, wouldn't you?
Talking about fighting to the death.
A nice segue into. I'm a trainee ITV presenter there. I gave you that link there. Lovely.
Our listeners, we have to talk about it if you asked, and you said you want us talking about the Olympics. Is the flame fizzling out? And of course, the big controversy this week was, of course, the Algerian boxer. Forget the name, but
Stephen Power.
Yeah, looks like him. So what people are saying is that there's arguments on both sides. This is a man against women. He's failed at chromosome tests by the IBA twice. Both of them. Him and I think there's a Chinese one as well. That's it. They're both hunting for medals as we record this podcast. They're both in the semis, I think.
Well, they both had a semi, I think.
Probably got one on.
Yeah, bomb. Like the pole vaulter whose cop stopped him fucking winning, wasn't it? Over the bar. Did you see that?
Oh, that was hilarious. The pole vaulter, John. Did you see that?
No.
He got off at bar. He's got a massive length. He's got a massive Johnson.
Like a baby's arm holding an apple.
He's got another pole.
The Johnson that knocked the bar off. You can see it clearly from video. The Johnson knocked the bar off as he's just clearing it. It was fantastic.
This old woman walks like Charlie Chaplin, I tell you.
Coming back to the boxer. So, of course, this has caused mass controversy. An account I follow and I would trust more than most accounts is former Olympic swimmer Sharon Davis. She has gone into the subject in deeper analysis. So I'll explain what she said and then I'll bring you two in to see what you think about it. The chromosome test is if you're XX, you're a woman. If you're XY, you're a man. And the Chinese athlete and the Algerian, that's causing most of the controversy, it seems, has been proven to be XY. But the Olympic Committee don't recognise these tests because they refuse to. It says she on her passport. They view that as the rule that it says she on your passport. What can we do about it? That to me is laughable because it's a simple test for them to perform themselves. You've got to ask the question why they aren't doing this test. And yet, why then for years, the East German athletes and the Russians were competing for years in the 70s and 80s, hairy armpits, all women and everything. That were a side effect. They couldn't shave them off. Hairs would grow instantly back. For all them years, they were like ridiculously high testosterone levels. In other words, they were built like men. They were women, but they were built like men because they were having testosterone. So why do they test for that and test for drugs and ban them all if you're a drug cheat, but then refuse to acknowledge something. Why don't you just test that yourselves? Just clarify that before the games. Just because it says she on a passport, if it says XY, well, I'm sorry, you can't compete in women's category because you're XY. Just that's it.
That's good. This is actually good news. Because what people have missed is the whole kind of trans movement. If they're saying, well, this person was born with female sexual organs, that's a woman. So that's it then. That's the end of the debate now, isn't it? All this notion of I self-identify, this, that, and the other. They've come out and said a woman is somebody with female sexual reproductive organs. That's it then. Hurrah! We've solved the whole trans movement now. So all these fellas in dresses with a pair of bollocks can fuck off. Because the Olympic Committee have said you've got male sex organs, you're a man. That's it.
It is trickiness because the ex-wife presumes she must have female
She
genitals.
does. She apparently
Well,
in quotes has so therefore she's a woman.
It's probably just one of them things that then she is XY for some reason, some genetical reason. It is an absolute, like in courts of law, which But then another thing why I find it strange, which Sharon Davis points out, is the Chinese athlete didn't appeal against these bans by IBA for World Championships. Yet the Algerian lady did, but then withdrew it.
What did he withdraw? It's fucking. This is the end of days, isn't it? We're arguing the toss over people that are self-evidently male. Look, the person's legs are that of a man. It's a man, isn't it? You know, and whether or not biologically or administratively their gender or sex is shown as female. You know, you ask the Italian girl what it was like getting smacked in the face by this individual, and this isn't just Michael Phelps had slightly longer arms. You know, this is like natural advantages. This is fundamentally a man. So there you go. It's just wrong, isn't it? But of course, you know,
it does look like a blogger. I mean, it is quite a good look. That it definitely does.
But the women athletes, you see, are not say partly to blame, but they should stand up and say we are not fight. Let these two fight it out in the final. Then no bronze medal, just silver and gold. We are not participating. Withdraw their labour en masse.
They could
do not. Agree to compete against these people, and I guarantee you, after a couple of months, boom, they'll change the rules. Because then all you'll have is sort of trans athletes or athletes of questionable gender, and you'll have no biological women should be agreeing to compete against these people in whatever sport.
Yeah, John.
I agree with Chris. I think that'd be an excellent move. I'm a great believer in collective bargaining, as you probably gathered.
Women on the production lines of Ford, John, all those sisters paved the way for women to receive the same, and it's a fucking betrayal. And I'm not criticising. I'm not a woman. I'm not criticising. It's a betrayal of their sisters that they've allowed people like that to push ahead, and they're now playing a game because they want a shiny bronze medal.
Agreed.
It's a good debate. It's a good talking point, and I pretty agree with what's being said. So, get in touch with what you think on that matter. Bert Doncaster's been on. If you had to get a tattoo today, what would you get?
Ooh. Better not answer my one. Fucking hell. Looking at a few I've got now, like, I don't know whether I think I might want a few erased now.
John, mine honestly would be, if I had to have one, I ain't got one. But if someone said, right, you've got to have one, I'm also going to pull trigger. I'd probably have it on my left bicep, and it'd be, I'd get a top one to do it, and it'd be a shit ape.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that.
I'd have your face on my arse. Honestly, that's what I'd have.
Kissing it.
No, just every time I had a shit, it looks like you've been sick.
Very good.
I'd just have DNR on my chest, I think. Do not resuscitate.
Do not resuscitate.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, John, don't do that. A couple of topics funny to finish. Samuel the Cat's question to come, and the first one is of ice creams, John. You brought up the topic of ice creams, and I like this because this was a popular response. We had lots of feedback on this. We had ripples. We had some people of fruit pastel lollies, magnums. Ben Keith come on with honeycomb. No brand though, according to you.
What's out there?
There's been absolutely lots. Some want Mr. Whippies because it's softer ice cream. Some like the harder ice cream. There's such a varied stuff here. So I'm coming Chris first in terms of what's the ice cream to go to, Chris?
I like white chocolate magnums.
Yeah.
They're again, a lot of ice cream connoisseurs would poo-poo it because they know it's not very good quality chocolate gelato. I do think that white chocolate magnums are hard to beat. Really do.
Yeah, I've got to say that'd be high up on my list. Yeah, that's probably one of the go-to if I'm in that sort of mood. But I have to eat mood for white chocolate because it can be
Yeah.
sickly. You get a box of them and then I can't eat it 6 day after
Yeah,
day. That
you
kind of thing.
could.
No,
You
I know
could.
you.
I
I know
could.
you
I
could.
could. You fucking destroy a box of them. Because once you get your head of steam up, don't you? And at
Yeah.
the end, you feel like sick as a dog, don't you?
I've got some good tips here for listeners. So first of all, when I was young, I used to love a cider lolly. Obsessed with cider lollies as a kid. I thought they were tremendous, and I had one for ages. They're very good. The second thing is, I used to like screwballs as a kid. I used to love the bubbly in the bottom and love those. But the top tip, Aldi, if you like lollies, I'm a lolly person really because it keeps me cool because I'm a bit of a fat lad and I sweat too much in this weather. So the lollies, Valencia lollies in Aldi, they are absolutely incredible. They are brilliant. They're the best orange lolly I've ever had. They're cheaper than Marks. They're cheaper than all other
Wow.
shitty supermarkets. £2 for a box of 4.
For nothing,
50
innit?
pence a
For
lolly.
nothing.
It's absolutely, and they are phenomenal. If you like your orange lollies, that is it.
Yep.
That's the go-to. Jonas.
That man's quite a recent one, actually. Charlotte's at York Races, the black treacle one.
Yeah, you had one, didn't you?
Yeah. When you said, "What's it taste like?"
Yeah.
I said black treacle.
Yeah. It was hilarious. I've got to mention this. It was absolutely hilarious off air other night. We just recorded the final Goodwood podcast. This ice cream van pulled up outside John's, but it was that loud, it sounded like it were in his kitchen. I'm not kidding. It was like ridiculously loud, like the bells. We're talking away as we do off air just to upload the podcast. He just says, right, I'm off, I'm fucking getting one. Right. So he disappears for about 3 minutes, comes back. He says, the fucker drove off. He got to get his ice cream. But just the vision I had of him, like going out and like waving him down.
waving his
Yeah.
But we're not kids anymore. As kids, what I used to do, if I ever missed ice cream van, your mother had given you 50 pence to get whatever, you'd sprint after it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would.
Not this day and age.
You know where he's
Fucking
going to
hell.
pull up next. He'd probably be just round the corner or something.
Yeah, not him. Next stop, Farnaby Cemetery.
Yeah. Or your dad telling you that the bells are saying that he hasn't got any left. You know, when he plays the thing, it means they've run out.
Good stuff. Questions finished, Sir Samuel the Cat. Dreams explain all about you. What's the best dream you've had and then woke up and thought, God, I wish that had happened? And what's the worst dream you've had and thought, thank fuck that never happened? What's your favourite old school lolly and ice cream vans except at these fates? Samuel the Cat. Well, we've sort of touched on that. Mr. Whippy and things like that. But anyway, dreams, chaps. Chris, can you think of like any great dreams or any bad dreams you've had?
No, I cut to the chase. I dream. I can never remember what they are, and it's all garbage. And I never wake up and think, well, that was great, but they're mainly terrible. My life's a living nightmare anyway, so it's constant, frankly. So I can't add anything to this debate. So no, don't remember what I dream half the time.
No. Well, that's it. If life's bad enough, it don't really matter what.
Fucking like, you shut your eyes and fucking have a rest. Don't you? Don't want any more of it.
Yeah, with me, good dreams. I don't have many either. I agree with Chris. I can't remember any great dreams I've had, which I don't know if that's a worry. But the worst dreams I ever have, it's the constant one. As a kid, I used to be chased by a really bad man around streets, and he'd never go away. Yeah. And no matter how fast you ran, he'd still be there like 10 yards behind you, even if you thought you'd lost him.
Now he just goes racing with you.
Fucking there all the time.
He's with me all the time now. The other one would be planes struggling to get off the ground and then either a crash or it struggles onto its journey and it lands safely. There's 2 scenarios with this dream I have, and it like takes off, say from Heathrow, and you just clear a bridge, so you know something's wrong because you shouldn't be that close to like just clearing a bridge. It's not really climbing, and then it either ditches and then dream finishes with me not dying or anything, but it just ditches and I don't know what happened, or it manages to get back to runway and return safely. And I think that psychologically, that dream is because you feel you're not succeeding in life.
Yeah.
Really. You're trying, but you're not getting to where you want to be.
You're not getting altitude, are you,
Yeah.
in life? That's the thing. You're not getting to altitude.
I read the reason for that. So apparently that's quite, I wouldn't say a common dream, but it's been researched, that one. So that'd be me. John?
Well, I'll assume that nobody wants to hear the one about rain pelvis deep on Kathy Lloyd while she's already pleasuring Kylie. So,
Some might. That's an extra £9 a month for that. Yeah.
Being John's notes next week.
yeah, I'll tell you a couple of slightly darker ones, shall I? There's one where I'm walking along these streets and I come to like an alley a bit like at the start of the Captain Scarlet thing, you know, where
Yeah. I know. What
he
you mean.
walks down the alley and there's Bagpuss there getting rear-ended by a big dog like a Doberman or something.
Oh, Christ.
And Bagpuss turns round and instead of Bagpuss's face, it's Prunella Scales.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, my reaction in the dream is like, no, come on.
Oh.
This is incredible.
Oh, fuck, mate. I wonder what psychiatrist would make of
And
that.
I know. And then I had another one that resulted in a fairly nasty injury. I'm walking along, and it's another dog one, actually. One of them fucking attack dogs comes at me.
Yeah.
In my dreams, I can still do stuff, you see, that I can't do in real life.
Yeah.
And there's a wall there. And I put one hand on the wall and vaulted over it.
Ooh.
Next thing, I've got this searing pain in my knee.
Yeah.
Woke up, couldn't get off the bedroom floor because my knee had hit the floor first.
Jesus.
And I was about 20 minutes trying to get back into bed.
Fucking hell. We don't have that, do we, Lee?
No.
Fucking hell, just dream about ice cream and planes, and that's about it.
It is.
Yeah.
John, it's amazing that some people do have dreams where, like you said, they either fall out of bed or they...
We have the standard ones as well where you end up with a mouthful of loose teeth and you either spit them out or swallow them.
No, that's not standard for me.
Yeah.
No. That's quite common, isn't it?
Is it?
Teeth
Yeah.
one. I mean something. I can't remember what it means.
Yeah,
but
you're worried about loss, believe it or not.
Christ.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people can buy the books. My wife's into all this sort of dream analysis thing. I think it's a load of old bollocks, personally. I think it's just your brain switching off for the day. But a lot of people draw conclusions about it, don't they?
Well, if that's my brain in relaxed mode, I don't ever want to switch off.
There you go. There you go.
Right, that's sufficient to end this episode.
Yes, I think it's sufficient for everybody.
Yeah. We've done well there. Hope you've enjoyed it as always. It's as wacky as it can get on this show. That's all from us. And of course, we're back next Sunday as usual. Bye for now.